Item: SCP-655. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Site-731 has been established at the premises of SCP-655. Personnel are advised that due to chronic political instability in the regime of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, no recognition of Site-731 as a Foundation asset exists at a national level. Site-731's activities occur under the auspices of Creutzfeldt Pharmaceuticals GmbH, a Foundation front organization, and the facility is to maintain cover as a tropical infectious disease research outpost. Site-731 security protocols are set at Code Green, and security personnel are to be attired and equipped as members of the mid-sized private military contractor. Subsequent to the events of the 29th of July 2002, see Incident Report 655-48 for details. Site 731 security personnel must receive specific authorization from the Level 4 Central African Affairs Coordinator prior to actively engaging armed groups approaching the security perimeter of SCP-655. All SCP-655-A specimens are to be catalogued and observed for a minimum of 2 weeks when possible. At the discretion of the site director, specimens may either be held for observation indefinitely after this initial period, or euthanized, autopsied, and preserved in the Site-731 biological archives. Description: SCP-655 is an 18-meter x 20 meters x 4 meters windowless structure within a complex of buildings located approximately 35 kilometers NE of Kisangani, Democratic Republic of the Congo. This complex was originally known as the Stanleyville Imperial Biology Institute, and was established by Belgian Congo colonial authorities in 1898. The complex housing SCP-655 was coterminous at the time of its establishment with a now-defunct cobalt mine. SCP-655 is the site of an anomalous phenomenon. At random intervals, which to date have been observed to be between a range of 2 months to 11 years, an organism of the kingdom Animalia will spontaneously appear within SCP-655. These organisms are collectively known as SCP-655-A. SCP-655-A appear upon initial visual inspection to be typical specimens of a variety of animals. Most specimens observed have fallen under the chordata phylum. However, mollusks, arthropods and echinoderms have been observed on a less frequent basis. Specimens of SCP-655-A will, however, exhibit radically different behavioral and biological characteristics than other observed members of their species. Invariably, MRI examinations, CT scans, ultrasound imaging and dissection of SCP-655-A specimens reveals biological structures not occurring in what species a specimen appears to be. These have included a specimen of Epatretus goliath, giant hagfish, with a lung-based respiration system, a Crocodylus niloticus, Nile crocodile, specimen entirely lacking in any discernible structures associated with digestion, a Homo sapiens specimen with the entirety of its neural tissue located in a cavity in its right thigh, and an instance of Dacelo blue-winged kookaburra, exhibiting a circulatory system completely lacking in blood vessels and arteries. Since containment was established at Site 731 in 1961, researchers have documented 172 instances of SCP-655-A. Over the approximately 6 decades of Foundation control of SCP-655, with the exception of Incident 655-21, no species has been observed that was not at the time known to the contemporary scientific establishment. This has been corroborated by the appearance of a Conus dondoni specimen, a variety of coned snail, in 1984, 3 years after being first described in scientific records, and a Lacerus, hairy-tailed bat specimen appearing 18 months after its initial description in 1994.